Hey there everyone, welcome back to the Dungeon Guide. Next up in the series, we'll be taking a look at what is required to get into Jabu Jabu's belly. If you're following along using the playlist, we just finished Dodongo's Cavern, and now we're going to be heading over to the water-themed dungeon of Child Link in Ocarina of Time. Luckily, there isn't a whole lot we need to do in order to get into that dungeon. The prep work needed to get into Dodongo's Cavern was pretty insane. That video went on for like 25 minutes or something like that. This one is going to go on for much less time. Basically, we just need to go just down the street. There's Zora's River is just next door to Kakariko Village, and that's going to lead to an area called Zora's Domain. And there we will have pretty much everything that we need in order to get into this dungeon, for the most part, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So here we are in Hyrule Field, and basically all we need to do is sort of follow this wall on our left-hand side, and straight ahead there's going to be an entrance to a new area that we haven't been to yet. Like I said, that's going to be Zora's River. So far in the series, I've been sort of putting the video and the editor into like a hyperspeed mode, fast-forward mode, if you will, in these Hyrule Field sections, but this is such a short walk. I guess we'll skip it that time. And here we are in Zora's River here. And right away we're going to see this wall of rocks, as well as a giant owl. There's Kakariko again. He's basically going to give us a hint on how we actually get into Zora's Domain. But we'll go ahead and cover that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And right away we'll go ahead and use our newly acquired bombs that we got in Dodongo's Cavern to break away these boulders. This, of course, was preventing us from going any further into this area until the time was right, until our progress in the game had gotten far enough along. And at this point here, we're pretty much just kind of running through this area. There's not really any puzzles or secrets. I mean, there's definitely things to collect, secrets to find here, but as far as getting into the next dungeon, we're pretty much just passing on through. So the fact that I'm sort of beelining it here, don't let that stop you from checking out anything that you might find interesting. Having said that, there are definitely items in this area that we don't have the equipment needed to collect. So just don't get too hung up on any one thing, because you might have to come back later on in the game after you've gotten some items from other dungeons to actually get those items. Anyway though, here we are at the end of Zora's River, and here we're going to see a giant waterfall. And if you read what Kakariko was telling us, he said, let them hear the melody of the royal family, or something to that effect. So we'll go ahead and step on that little square on the ground there, and we'll go ahead and play Zelda's Lullaby, and the waterfall will sort of part there, and we'll actually be able to jump our way across and enter Zora's Domain. And there it is, Zora's Domain. I love this area. It's one of my favorites in Ocarina of Time. I love the soundtrack. I love the sound of the water. So peaceful. So tranquil. And basically what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be heading up the steps. We're going to be dropping down into the lower area here in just a second, so don't you worry, we'll see it. But our main goal in this area right now is to get by this dapper gentleman up here. This is King Zora. And I actually forget what he says when you talk to him. I think he's actually just distracted by the fact that the princess is missing. Princess Ruto is going to be a character we'll be seeing in the Jabu Jabu video. But basically we need the dungeon, Jabu Jabu and his belly are behind King Zora, so we need to figure out a way to get him out of the way. And in order to do that, we're going to need another item. But to get that item, we're going to need to play this minigame right here. So there's kind of a chain of things that's happening right here, but try not to worry about it too much. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're playing this minigame here. We pay the Zora up there some money, and what he does is he throws the rupees down into the water below, and we have a short period of time to get down here. You can just jump down, and then what I do is I watch Link's shadow in the water. I don't know if you can see it right there. Basically what I do is I line it up with the rupee that I'm aiming for, and I dive right at that point. So the shadow is directly below you, so you can kind of use it like a targeting reticle, if you will. and you kind of line up the shadow with the rupee, and if you dive right then and there, you'll dive right down to it and you'll pick it up. So having done that, we will return to the Zora, clear back up at the top of the waterfall, and he's going to give us, like I said, an item that is going to help us get the next item in the quest. And after we're done with that, we'll bring that item back to King Zora up here, and then he'll eventually move out of the way. So here we go, we're back up at the top of the waterfall again. The Zora is going to compliment us on our amazing dive, which actually was pretty dang cool, I do have to admit. And after completing the game, he will give us the Silver Scale, which is an item that allows Link to dive further. And it may not be super apparent, but like as we go to dive through this sort of cave here, we're really only able to dive that far down because we got that Silver Scale. And by diving through that cave there, we're going to spawn here. This is Lake Hylia. This is a completely different area in Ocarina of Time. You can reach Lake Hylia using Hyrule Field, but it's much further away from where we were in Zora's River / Zora's Domain. So that's definitely a cool little shortcut there. You can kind of keep that in mind, keep that in your back pocket. And if you need to get around quicker, there are definitely little shortcuts like that in Ocarina of Time. But anyway, here we are collecting a bottle that was sort of down there at the bottom of the lake. Again, that was something that we would not have been able to reach without the Silver Scale, so it's absolutely required. But if you read the dialogue there, inside that bottle there was actually a note in it. So not only is that sort of our first empty bottle, sort of empty, the fact that there's something inside it is related to this quest here. We're actually to take that note and bring it to King Zora here, but after we give him that note, we'll be able to keep the bottle and we'll be able to store bugs and potions and fairies and whatnot inside, and it'll be a nice little tool for us as we continue through the game. And actually, we'll be using this bottle immediately here, actually. We need to use it in order to get into Jabu Jabu's belly, which is going to be just behind, like I said, I think I already mentioned that, but it's right behind King Zora there. And in that cutscene, we got to watch him slowly scoot out of the way when I was a little kid. That made me so mad how long it took for him to get out of the way. Nowadays, I think it's funny, but yeah, it's just like 30 seconds of him sort of scooting without standing up or anything. But anyway, getting past that, before we do head out to Zora's Fountain, we need to hop down here. We need to get a fish. And this, of course, is the closest source of fish that I know of. So I'm going to go ahead and drop down here, run on over with our empty bottle. I'll use the C button to sort of swing it while I'm standing in the water. And as you can see, I was able to collect myself a fish. And we will actually, like I said, be using that to enter the dungeon. So now we're done. Or that is to say, we're ready to enter the dungeon. So I'm going to come over here. And I actually didn't know about this pathway when I was a little kid. I just never actually saw it. So don't try to jump up to Zora or King Zora's throne there from where we were standing a moment ago. You have to kind of walk around that like little, it's sort of off in the shadows, so I guess I can kind of see missing it. But yes, look for the staircase. And here we are in Zora's Fountain. And the one and only thing that we have left to do is to come up here towards Lord Jabu Jabu, this giant fish whale creature. And all we got to do is stand on this big open platform and drop the fish in front of him. And we get this pretty awesome cutscene of him opening his mouth. And he's going to inhale that fish along with us with it. And in any case, that is how you get into Lord Jabu Jabu's belly. Thank you so much for watching. Coming up next will be the dungeon itself. I hope you stay tuned for it, and I'll see you in the next one.